Welcome, guys. Once again, good evening. Today we have our second session from our cycle B1.4. Not like a lot of new things, to be honest. Yesterday we started our cycle, probably a few minutes ago or like an hour ago. I sent the typical email that I always send, sending you the information the presentation that actually contains all the aspects of the course. Let me just share my screen for a moment. I'm sharing just the typical slide that I have. That is the same message. I only changed the name of the cycle, B1.3, 2, 4, etc. And as you know, here you have the presentation. Well, como es administrativo, digámoslo en español. La presentación de siempre. Ustedes están acostumbrados como a la información. De pronto lo único diferente y pues que de alguna manera relevante vienen siendo los links, ¿no? Acá donde está el link que nos lleva a la información referente a lo que es el proyecto que ayer hablábamos de qué se trataba. Los invito a que lo lean, a que revisen. Recuerden que es algo que ustedes ya tienen hecho al final del día, es organizarlo como ya eventualmente van ustedes a presentar esa información en las diapositivas. Ahí está. De alguna manera, pues siempre ustedes han tenido la información, solo que ciclo que va avanzando, pues es a la información a la cual le damos dando como ese énfasis. El link del Drive donde ustedes van a subir las presentaciones. Hablábamos ayer que todos están matriculados en el aula virtual, entonces la sugerencia obviamente es a medida que vamos avanzando en tema, van realizando las actividades de virtual. Terminamos un miércoles 17 de mayo. Por el momento tengamos en mente que la fecha para tener las actividades en virtuales es ese día. Si llega a haber alguna extensión, yo se las haré saber, pero pues como tendríamos esos 2 días, luego el festivo para estar arrancando el B1.5 ese martes 23 de mayo, es muy probable que la información de notas y eso nos la pidan antes de que se acabe el fin de semana para que ese martes ya esté todo cargado en el sistema académico y pues evidentemente se puedan matricular sin problema. Entonces, básicamente, no quiero que de pronto nos hagamos a las falsas esperanzas desde ya de que tendremos el fin de semana. Si llega a ser así, yo se los haré saber, pero por el momento la información se acaba ese día y pues ese día tenemos que recolectar las notas. Igual 10 días no es nada, ya estamos a la vuelta de la semana. Hablamos del examen final, el speaking y bueno, la carpeta, perdón, que contiene pues la carpeta de siempre, donde subimos tanto lo de los proyectos como donde yo subo la parte referente a las sesiones, lo de las grabaciones, el link, los parámetros a tener en cuenta y bueno, lo que hablamos ayer del examen y esa pequeña reflexión final. Es el correo que les envío siempre, es como un parámetro más, por decirlo así, dentro del curso. Ojalá pues tengan como esos correos o bueno, no los eliminen más bien para que tengan acceso como a todas esas carpetas que hemos estado trabajando durante los diferentes ciclos. Simplemente pues nuevamente el correo es siempre hablando de esa información. And well, guys, actually, before I take it, no, I'm gonna take attendance first. I'm just going to refresh your memory a little bit. Yesterday, when we finished sharing the information of the course, and then we began talking about our unit 1. And I was telling you that unit 1 is more like to review general aspects, specifically for the moment in terms of grammar. And we had a mini homework. We had 4 sentences, and the idea was to decide from these sentences which ones were true or false. I was telling you that it is a little bit similar to the exercise that we have on the exam. The ones that are true basically have the same idea as the original sentence, and the one or the ones that are false is because they are not related or the idea is completely different to the original sentence. Probably you notice that all the choices are grammatically correct. But once again, the idea was to find like the connection with the original sentence. But before we check the homework, I'm going to take attendance. Now that most of you are already here, today is the 5th. Karen Victoria Acevedo. Okay. Volumen. Mejor, Karen, thank you. Steven Santiago Fonseca.
Here, teacher.
Okay. Kiara Lisette Martínez.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Jorge Jair Moreno. Okay, good. Okay, you're using your middle name tonight. Natalia
Present,
Navarro.
teacher.
Okay, Jorge, thank you. Okay, Natalia. Thanks for the info. Let me write that down. Just in case, you will let us know your answers or your ideas through the chat. Diego Fernando Olarte.
Present, teacher.
Okay, Manuela Ortiz. Not here for the moment.
Present, teacher.
There you are, Manuela. Very good. Joan Sebastián Pavón. Juan Sebastián. Well, I see that he is here, but he will let us know. Usually, he let us know on the chat. Beatriz Pedraza.
Sure.
Okay. Xiomara Caterina Rincón.
Present.
Okay. Sebastián, there you are in the chat. Jessica Paola Ríos.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Catherine Alexandra Rodríguez.
Present, Miss.
Okay. Marlon Yesid Sánchez. Not here for the moment. Mendy Fabián Santa.
Teacher, present.
Okay. Manuel Alberto Sepúlveda.
Present, teacher.
Okay. María Alejandra Vega.
Present, teacher.
Okay. And Vanessa Zambrano. Okay. Bueno, la voz estaba como lejos. Very good. It looks like everybody's here. Give me a second. Except for Marlon. He still have a couple of minutes anyway. Okay. Well, guys, as I was telling you before we actually start with the topic that we have for tonight, that would be from pages 10 and 11. This was like the mini homework that we had from yesterday. The idea was to choose the statements, the ones that were true or false. Remember, taking as a point of reference the original statement, deciding which of them actually matched or had the similar idea as the underlying statements that we had in here. So let's have a look at number one. The sentence was, we used to go to Spain for our holidays. From the three possibilities that we have in here, only one is true. Beatriz, which of these statements is true? A, B, or C?
Teacher.
Could you repeat, Beatriz, sorry?
B is true, teacher.
Very good. That is the idea. When we were talking about used to, as you remember from yesterday, basically we were talking about habits and states from the past. In this case, it was only talking about habits, right? And it had the sense to be more like repeated. Let me continue with the second one. The original statement was, they started dinner when we arrived. Santiago. In this case, we also have only one true statement. Which one is it?
B and C are true. A it's false.
Only A is false?
Yes, I think so. B, when we arrived, they were eating. Ya estaban comiendo. That's true. And
Yes.
C, when we arrived, oh no, sorry. I was confusing. No, only B is true.
Only B is true. Very good. Let me see the chat. Jorge says A and B are true. Only B is true. Remember that the idea that both sentences mean the same, you know? Well, remember that in this case, this D, what does it mean? In this contraction, what is the meaning of this D in the contraction, guys?
Hot.
It is hot, okay? Very good. So in terms of, let's say, the sequence of events, the one that is closer to the idea or to the original idea, sorry, is B. Because in the A1, we are talking about that they began eating in the moment that the people arrived to the house, right? And in the second one, they are talking about that the meal or the food was already finished in the moment that they arrived in the house. And that is not like the idea. It was like in the moment, as we already know, like in B. Well, that's a little tricky one. Let's have a look at number 3. In number 3, we had 2 true statements. The original sentence was, I worked as a travel courier for several years. I would like to ask in this case, Catherine. Oh, well, which is the false statement? Tell me the false one, Catherine.
The false is letter A.
Very good. Sorry, notice that we have to keep like the alignment of the tenses, and the case of A in this case is related to like a present event, but the original statement is talking about past, which is actually used on statements B and C. So A was false, as Catherine already said. That means that B and C are true. They are related. They have the same, let's say, line in terms of the tense, talking about past. And we finish with number 4. In number 4, we also had only one true statement. It says, James lost his wallet. Manuela, which of these statements is true?
Okay, teacher. For me, B and C.
Well, technically, it's only one that is true in this case.
Okay, it's B, just B.
Very good, yeah. Well, it is like a blurry line. This is the answer key, just in case. His wallet is lost now. Like in this moment, we can say that it is lost. We would need extra information, probably a little bit of extra context, actually, to determine if, like, see that we don't know if it is still lost, but just with the original statement, that means that it is lost now. Remember, guys, that yesterday we were refreshing our memory about different aspects of those, let's say, big grammatical structures that we had, starting probably from the most basic, talking about present simple, and dare to say as well present continuous, and then going to past perfect, that we know that is the past of the past. We already know like those very essential aspects of each tense, but just in case, don't forget that you can have a look at this key characteristic that each tense has. Okay, very good. Well, guys, let me go back to tonight's presentation. So I don't get confused. Yes. Remember, guys, that we continue working on Unit 1, of course, of our new book. Just to refresh your memory, that means that we will be working on aspects on page 10 and 11 as well. Tonight is more about listening, right? It's going to be like the core of the lesson that we have tonight. In some cases, the listening is going to be individual, let's put it like that. In other cases, it's going to be done collaboratively in order to help each other. Remember, one of the things that I told you yesterday, the idea is to be as honest as possible, especially in this type of exercises. We know that listening tends to be tricky, probably the trickiest ability for some of us, of course. Everybody's different. So we can't like miss any opportunity to improve our level, especially now that we are about to become B2. Let me go back to the presentation. But before we go to all those listening activities that we have for tonight, here we have some statements from that first part of the book. I'm going to read the instruction for you. Read the following statements. Which characteristics below do not describe the behavior of a good friend? Let's have a look at the 7 statements that we have in here. Diego, could you read the statements 1 and 2, please?
Yes, teacher. First, you can trust them. 2, they always tell you the truth.
The truth. That's it. Karen Victoria, could you read 3 and 4, please?
Yes, teacher. They sometimes lie to you, and they are fun to be with.
Very good. Catherine, could you read now 5, 6, and 7?
5, the gossip about your behind your back. You can confide in them about your problems. They always keep their promises.
Very good. Of course, you notice that we have some words in bold. They are very important. They are very relevant. Sorry. I'm going to give you like a couple of minutes to analyze the statements. And remember, the idea that you are going to choose which of these statements do not describe the behavior of a good friend. For the moment, we only have 7. So look at them and then I'm going to ask you, okay? 2 minutes starting now. Which of these statements do not describe the behavior of a good friend? Okay. For the moment, like we were focusing on the negative aspects, you know. So which characteristics below do not describe the behavior of a good friend, Kiara?
For a good friend, you can trust them.
No, Kiara, look at the instruction. Do not describe.
Okay. And they sometimes lie to you. And they gossip about you behind your back. And
And that's it. Okay, very good. Yeah, thank you. So guys, notice that in this case, somehow we were focusing our attention on the negative aspects, right? And in this case, we were using like a complete statement to talk about the negative aspects. Now we're going to have a look at the positive aspects, you know? I want you to think of two more characteristics, but in this case, we're gonna use Mentimeter, of course. I'm gonna use it like this for the moment. Of a good friend, okay? But, you know, once again, we are about to become B2. So don't tell me only happiness or, I don't know, joy, like a word. In our presentation or in the book, actually, we were talking about a complete statement. Now, I don't want you like to create then like a paragraph talking about how good friends are. That is not the point. You know, that always at the beginning of the session, we are just exploring general aspects, and the idea is for you to share like an idea in very general terms. So in this case, we were talking about the negative. I want you to think about the positive, okay? In this case too, more characteristics of a good friend. I'm sending you here the Mentimeter slide, you know. Let's have a look at it. In this case, we have the box. The idea that you write a sentence, you know, something very short, similar to the length of the statements that we had in the previous exercise. Guys, did you have any questions about the instruction? Questions?
No questions.
Teacher.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes. Let's see how many sentences we can collect. Remember that now we are focusing on the positive aspects. A sentence talking about aspects that, in your opinion, would be good characteristics, of a good friend. I don't interrupt you anymore. 5 minutes starting now. Okay, time's up. Okay. Silence. I almost had problems trying to put it into silence. Let's see, in your opinion, for the moment, which are those two characteristics of a good friend? Click on enter. He always is loyal. Aprovechamos aquí, revisamos par de detallitos. Entonces, he is always loyal. Con otro verbo sí iría ahí, pero con verbo to be, el is va primero. And absolutely, totally agree. They are loyal to you. You can support of them. You can support them. Okay. Sí, I guess. You provide the support, so they are good friends. Well, it looks like from your perspective. A good friend is loyal over everything. They always are there to give you a hand. They are always the same idea. Give me a moment. Okay. Ay, sorry. Not that. Sincerely and good friend, sincere. You know, this one looks like the word that one of the many words that we can use at the end of a letter. They have very honest with you. They are good listeners. They are. You know, honesty is not something to have. Aunque tiene, no, usted es. And they are good listeners. Para mantener en la concordancia en número. If we say they, it has to be plural, right? Okay, let's continue with the other one. You can trust him and he should loyal with you. He should be. Remember that after should, we have to use a verb. He always tells me the truth and being honest with me. Bueno, aquí varias combinaciones que me confunden. Well, let's keep it masculine. You can trust him, bien, and he should be. There must be a verb in here, you know. This part, I mean, loyal with you. Also, he always tells me the truth, not true. That was the adjective where we need the noun here, the truth. And is honest with me. Este being, este ing aquí no nos sirve de nada realmente. Toca mantener concordancia de los tiempos simples, por decirlo así. They always listen and understand you. They help you in problems. They help you with problems, right? More like on that line. They are loyal and don't judge. Okay, we keep like a very same line on that aspect. You can have fun together traveling, keep your secrets. That's a great combination, actually. A good friend doesn't care if you have or haven't money. If you have or don't have. Haven't lo podemos usar a menos que adelante coloquemos haven't got para que signifique tener, porque solo haven't sería el auxiliar de presente perfecto, ¿no? A good friend can be listened, can listen, shall we say, and give advice when necessary. Necesitamos acá el verbo, ya que advice es un sustantivo. Okay, I agree in general aspects, of course. A good friend supports the other. Tercera persona, póngale la S. Someone who is always there to support you. Okay, like emphasizing the previous idea. In the real life doesn't exist a good friend. In real life, para ajustar la gramática, eso es muy español. En la vida real, en la. En el inglés es más restringido el uso al de. Se va, este de acá. Podríamos decir, in real life, a good friend doesn't exist. Si quieren mantener la idea como tal. Porque nuevamente, eso es muy a orden de español. He or she is someone you can always find when you need support. Okay. He or she is a person that makes you feel important. Absolutely. They advise about your dilemmas. They are supportive when you need them. Okay, very good. They are always looking out of you. Looking out for you, maybe. They are loyal. You can trust each other. Man is the best friend in our life. Okay, I wasn't expecting that idea. But thank you very much, guys, for your opinions talking about friendships. Notice that everybody somehow had a different idea talking about those aspects. Some of you were a little bit more positive than the others. Some of you consider that actually there are characteristics that friends have. In other cases, a few said that only two, like no one is like a very real good friend and money is your friend. Once again, I wasn't expecting that. Okay, well, guys, we are going to work on our book. Remember that I told you that tonight we're going to have a lot of listening. Some parts are going to be done collaboratively, more like done, like checked collaboratively, and some are going to be done individually. Here it says work in pairs, but we're gonna do it here with the whole group. I'm gonna read the instruction for you. You're going to listen to 3 conversations. Listen to Mass confiding in Anna and answer the questions. This is going to be 1.4 is conversation number 1, 1.5 is conversation number 2, and 1.6 is conversation number 3. So we are going to start with conversation number 1. Let's read the first 4 questions that you guys are going to answer. Manuel, please, could you read questions, 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Yes, teacher. First question, who is Ben? Second, what problem does Mass have? Third, what do we learn about Mass and Ben as people? And fourth, what does Anna promise at the end of the conversation?
Promise. Very good. So this is the first conversation that we're gonna listen to tonight. Once again, well, I haven't told you in this cycle, like officially. The idea, guys, is that you're going to take some notes, okay? In this case, this recording in particular is quite short, but anyway, we have 4 questions that need to be answered. It is a conversation that the speakers are having, so we have to be very careful on how the information is being presented. Just be careful on that part. We're gonna listen twice, okay? Guys, did you have any questions about the instructions?
No questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me share some with you and let's begin.
And everything's still going well with Ben? You two still madly in love?
Yeah. Well, I need to talk to you about it sometime.
Why? What's wrong?
No, there's nothing wrong as such. It's just, we get on really well and everything, but I don't know. I don't think it's like going anywhere. I just can't see us together in a few years' time.
No?
Not really, no. I just don't think we really want the same things. He's like perfectly happy living here, doing the same things, seeing the same people, and, well, you know me, I've got so many plans and things I want to do.
And you don't think he's interested?
He says he is, but sometimes I think he's just telling me what I want to hear.
Do you?
And what's the point of staying together if you don't think there's any future?
Poor Ben.
I know. I do love him, and we do have a good time. I don't know. You won't say anything to anyone, will you? Because I really haven't decided what to do.
No, of course not. I wouldn't dream of it. You know you can trust me. I wouldn't say anything to anybody.
Unit 1, Recording 4.
And everything's still going well with Ben? You two still madly in love?
Yeah. Well, I need to talk to you about it sometime.
Why? What's wrong?
No, there's nothing wrong as such. It's just, we get on really well and everything, but I don't know. I don't think it's like going anywhere. I just can't see us together in a few years' time.
No?
Not really, no. I just don't think we really want the same things. He's like perfectly happy living here, doing the same things, seeing the same people, and, well, You know me, I've got so many plans and things I want to do.
And you don't think he's interested?
He says he is, but sometimes I think he's just telling me what I want to hear.
Do you?
And I mean, what's the point of staying together if you don't think there's any future?
Poor Ben.
I know. I mean, I do love him, and we do have a good time. I don't know. You won't say anything to anyone, will you? Because I really haven't decided what to do.
No, of course not. I wouldn't dream of it. You know you can trust me. I wouldn't say anything to anybody.
Unit 1, Recording 4.
And everything's still going well with Ben? You two still madly in love?
Yeah. Well, I need to talk to you about it sometime.
Why? What's wrong?
No, there's nothing wrong as such. It's just, I mean, we get on really well and everything, but I don't know. I don't think it's like going anywhere. I just can't see us together in a few years' time.
No?
Not really, no. I just don't think we really want the same things. I mean, he's like perfectly happy living here, doing the same things, seeing the same people, and, well, you know me, I've got so many plans and things I want to do.
And you don't think he's interested?
He says he is, but sometimes I think he's just telling me what I want to hear.
Do you?
And I mean, what's the point of staying together if you don't think there's any future?
Poor Ben.
I know. I mean, I do love him, and we do have a good time. I don't know. You won't say anything to anyone, will you? Because I really haven't decided what to do.
No, of course not. I wouldn't dream of it. You know you can trust me. I wouldn't say anything to anybody.
Okay. Well, guys, in this case, this is going to be the first conversation among of 3 that we are going to listen to. I'm going to send you to breakout rooms. This is going to be like a very fast, let's say, comparison that you are going to make. Of course, the idea that with the notes that you took, you are going to enrich each other's answers. For the moment, of course, I know that you know, we're talking about only the first 4 questions that we have in here. When everybody is on the breakout room, I'm going to give you 7 minutes for you to check your answers, check the notes that you took, and then we come back to collect the information. Of course, of course, everything is connected. The information that we get from here is going to help us to understand what is going to happen on the second conversation that we're going to listen after we check this information. Okay, so let's make sure that everybody like in the group, you know, shares the information to have a clear idea of what happened before we go to the second conversation. Guys, do you have any questions about the instructions?
Yes, teacher.
So no questions. Because I said that you have questions.
Sorry,
So,
yes, no questions.
Okay, good. Let me make sure that you can share your screen just in case. Okay, I had already done that. Remember, 7 minutes in the moment that everybody goes to the group. Go. Okay, guys, welcome back. Our first listening in this case was done collaboratively. The idea was for you like to share your ideas, you know, to make sure that all of you got like the same information. Let's have a look at question number 1. I would like to ask group number 5. Karen Victoria, who is Ben?
Teacher Ben is the math boyfriend.
That would be it. Very good. Let's have a look at question number 2. In this case, we have 5 groups. Yes. I'm going to ask from group number 2. Santiago, what problem does math have?
Must think her relationship has become monotony because they, Ben and Hert, meet ever the same people, do the same things every day and things like that.
Okay, very good. Anything, it was good, of course. Anything to add to that answer from group number 3? Maria? Something extra, you know, to enrich what Santiago already said?
A problem with communication in the relationship.
In the relationship? Okay, that is something that we can infer, right? Could be. Let's see question number 3. Xiomara, what do we learn about Mas and Ben as people?
Yes, teacher. That everyone should do what makes them happy, even if they are in love.
Okay. Of course, you're right. But they also talk about, like, let's say some characteristics that they have as people. I would like to ask from group number 1. Well, I was asking you, Xiomara. But I would like them to ask from group number 4, Diego, for example. Something extra that we can add to the answer that Xiomara gave.
For question number 3, teacher.
Yes, talking about like the characteristics that Ben and Mas have as people.
We don't know, teacher. Something like they are the same things, and she see the same people, and she feels boring. But I don't know. I can advise for that.
Bored, not boring, bored, because that's the feeling. Okay, Diego. That information was also presented there, but probably I'm talking about the aspects that, according to the information that was shared, you know, Ben is a little bit more, let's say, easygoing, you know, and it is not that adventurous, probably compared to Mas, right? Probably you remember that she was talking about that she has more ambitions, that she has like big plans in different places, more like related also to that aspect. And let's have a look at number 4. The listener, what does Anna promise at the end of the conversation? How does she finish that, Natalia? The friend that is listening. Natalia? Well, let's see the chat. You had already told me that, but I had written that on the previous page. Sorry. You had already told me that, I know. So, Catherine, what does Anna say at the end of the conversation?
Maybe that Mas, she can trust her.
Mhm. Very good, absolutely. And somehow she makes the promise that she won't tell anyone about it. Very good. That was the first conversation. To sum up, we already know that Ben is Mas's boyfriend. They have a kind of problem, as you already noticed. First of all, talking about the monotony that is present in their relationship and how different they are. Mas, a little bit Ben, sorry, a little bit quiet, relaxed, easygoing. Mas is a little bit more ambitious, you know. She has like, let's say, bigger plans for her future. And in this case, Anna is behaving, you know, as that good friend, being a good listener, and at the same time, like promising that she won't tell anybody. That was conversation 1. Sorry, we're going to move to conversation 2. In this case, guys, I am not going to send you to breakout rooms. Once again, you will be invited to take some notes of the questions of the answers, well, the information that you collect from the conversation. After we listen, you are gonna have some time to reorganize your ideas. As I told you, one part is going to be in groups. This one in particular, 1.5, is going to be done individually. I'm going to read the instruction. It says, listen to Joe talking to one of the women from the previous conversation and answer the question. Which 2 women we had in the previous conversation, guys? Which were the names?
Anne and Mas.
Anna and Mas. Very good.
Anna.
Anna, very good. Yeah, keep in mind those names. So let's have a look at the questions that now you are going to answer with this new conversation that we have in here. Jorge, please, could you read questions, 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Yes, teacher. Who is Joe talking to? What are they discussing? What is their attitude towards the situation? What does Joe promise at the end?
Promise. Very good. So it's going to be the same idea.
Unit 1.
Taking into account, let me move this a little bit, that the tracks are shorter compared to other exercises that we've done before. Once again, we're gonna listen 3 times. After we listen the 3 times, I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes for you to organize your notes and organize your ideas. Remember that in this case, I am not going to send you to breakout rooms. This is going to be a kind of individual exercise, okay? Let me make sure that the sound is working well. Let's listen.
Recording 5. So, have you seen Ben and Maz at all?
Yes, I have actually. I had coffee with Maz the other day.
Yeah? Everything okay?
Yeah.
You don't sound very sure.
No. Well, don't whatever you do mention this to Ben, will you?
No. What?
Only, I think she's going to finish with him.
You're not serious. He'll be devastated.
Well, you know, they are very different people. I mean, she's always been super ambitious and super dynamic, and he's like easygoing, happy with things the way they are. At the end of the day, she doesn't think they really have that much in common.
Poor Ben. So what exactly did she say?
I don't really know if I should say anything more. You must promise you won't say a word to him.
No, I promise. But you've got to tell me the whole story now you've started.
Well, what she told me was that she wasn't really sure that she wanted to go out with him.
Unit 1, Recording 5. So, have you seen Ben and Maz at all?
Yes, I have actually. I had coffee with Maz the other day.
Yeah? Everything okay?
Yeah.
You don't sound very sure.
No. Well, don't whatever you do mention this to Ben, will you?
No. What?
Only, I think she's going to finish with him.
You're not serious. He'll be devastated.
Well, you know, they are very different people. I mean, she's always been super ambitious and super dynamic, and he's like easygoing, happy with things the way they are. At the end of the day, she doesn't think they really have that much in common.
Poor Ben. So what exactly did she say?
I don't really know if I should say anything more. You must promise you won't say a word to him.
No, I promise. But you've got to tell me the whole story now you've started.
Well, what she told me was that she wasn't really sure that she wanted to go out with him anymore.
Unit 1, Recording 5. So, have you seen Ben and Maz at all?
Yes, I have actually. I had coffee with Maz the other day.
Yeah? Everything okay?
Yeah.
You don't sound very sure.
No. Well, don't whatever you do mention this to Ben, will you?
No. What?
Only, I think she's going to finish with him.
You're not serious. He'll be devastated.
Well, you know, they are very different people. I mean, she's always been super ambitious and super dynamic, and he's like easygoing, happy with things the way they are. At the end of the day, she doesn't think they really have that much in common.
Poor Ben. So what exactly did she say?
I don't really know if I should say anything more. You must promise you won't say a word to him.
No, I promise. But you've got to tell me the whole story now you've started.
Well, what she told me was that she wasn't really sure that she wanted to go out with him anymore.
Okay, remember in this case, we're gonna keep it individually. I wanna give you 2 minutes to organize the information that you got, the notes that you took down, and then we're going to share the answers as a group before we move to the final conversation and let's say to summarize the whole story. So 2 minutes starting now for you to organize the idea that you wrote. Let's start. Okay, let's see. Diego, question 1, who is Joe talking to?
Okay, Joe is talking about Ben with Ma's friend.
What was her name?
I don't remember.
Anna.
Okay, Anna.
Very good, that's the answer. Sebastian, what about question number 2? What are they discussing? Let's see the chat. Okay. Oh, that's bad. Karen, what about you?
What question, teacher?
Number 2, what are they discussing?
About the relation about of Mas and Ben.
Very good. Basically, that's the conversation about. Let's have a look at conversation. Sorry. Question 3, Mandy, you raise your hand. Mandy?
Yes, teacher, I raise my hand. Teacher, Anna thinks that Bean is super ambitious and he
Ben is
wants
ambitious?
to maths.
Yes.
Maths is super ambitious. And he's easygoing. I don't know in this part, teacher.
And Ben is easygoing, yes.
Yes.
Very good. That is also more connected a little bit to the second question, like what they are discussing. After they talk about the situation, how or what is their attitude towards the problem that Mas and Ben have, Kiara.
The fourth?
3.
3? Actually sounds like gossip people.
Okay, definitely. They are like gossiping happily in that moment. But in the gossip, we can also get that they are a little kind of sorry, right? For the situation that is happening, especially they feel sorry for Ben. Technically, Ben doesn't know. Well, what about question 4? What does Joe promise at the end, Santiago?
He promised does do not tell anything to Ben.
He promises. Very good. So notice how the situation is developing. First of all, Mas talking to Anne, telling her that their relationship is not working, and meets with Joe in this case. Although she promised not to tell anything, she's actually telling the situation to Joe, and Joe feels a little bit sorry. Well, both of them feel a little bit sorry. We're going to finish this story with our third conversation. Now, Joe is talking about to someone else, Once again, the idea is to answer the 4 questions that we have in here. Let's read the questions. Manuela, could you read questions 1, 2, 3, 4 from part 1.6, please?
Yes, teacher. Who is Joe talking to? What is the surprise that is mentioned? What does Joe try to do in the conversation and why? And how does the other person respond?
Very good. Pretty much the same idea. And in this case, for the final part, well, let me play
Unit
this
1.
for the moment. We're going to listen once again 3 times, and we're going to do similar to what we did on the first part, where I'm going to send you to breakout rooms to share your answers. This will be like the end of the story. Let's put it like that. Okay, let's listen.
Recording 6. So, everything all right, mate? Maz okay?
Yeah, great. She's studying like crazy as usual, but no, everything's good.
Good.
Actually, I'm planning a bit of a surprise for her.
Oh, are you? What's that then?
Well, you know how she loves the sun. Well, I'm going to book this big holiday in the sun for us both, for when she finishes her exams next summer. 2 weeks on a Greek island. She's going to love it. But it's a complete surprise, so don't say a word to her.
Are you sure Maz likes surprises? don't you think you should, you know, ask her where she wants to go? I mean, it's going to cost you a fortune, isn't it?
Oh, she'll like this. I know she will.
'Cause, you know, she does have strong opinions about what she likes, doesn't she?
Nah, mate, it's cool. You don't know her like I do. She'll love it.
I don't know. I think it's a bit of a risk. If it was me, I'd definitely ask her before I booked it.
Hey, you're just not romantic like me, are you?
And also, she might make other plans. Things that she can't, like, change, and then she might not be able to go.
Nah, trust me. It'll be fine.
Unit 1, Recording 6. So, everything all right, mate? Maz okay?
Yeah, great. She's studying like crazy as usual, but no, everything's good.
Good.
Actually, I'm planning a bit of a surprise for her.
Oh, are you? What's that then?
Well, you know how she loves the sun? Well, I'm going to book this big holiday in the sun for us both, for when she finishes her exams next summer. 2 weeks on a Greek island. She's going to love it. But it's a complete surprise, so don't say a word to her.
Are you sure Maz likes surprises? Don't you think you should, you know, ask her where she wants to go? I mean, it's going to cost you a fortune, isn't it?
Oh, she'll like this. I know she will.
'Cause, you know, she does have strong opinions about what she likes, doesn't she?
Nah, mate, it's cool. You don't know her like I do. She'll love it.
I don't know. I think it's a bit of a risk. If it was me, I'd definitely ask her before I booked it.
Hey, you're just not romantic like me, are you?
And also, she might make other plans. Things that she can't, like, change, and then she might not be able to go.
Nah, trust me. It'll be fine.
Unit 1, Recording 6. So, everything all right, mate? Maz okay?
Yeah, great. She's studying like crazy as usual, but no, everything's good.
Good.
Actually, I'm planning a bit of a surprise for her.
Oh, are you? What's that then?
Well, you know how she loves the sun? Well, I'm going to book this big holiday in the sun for us both, for when she finishes her exams next summer. 2 weeks on a Greek island. She's going to love it. But it's a complete surprise, so don't say a word to her.
Are you sure Maz likes surprises? Don't you think you should, you know, ask her where she wants to go? I mean, it's going to cost you a fortune, isn't it?
Oh, she'll like this. I know she will.
'Cause, you know, she does have strong opinions about what she likes, doesn't she?
Nah, mate, it's cool. You don't know her like I do. She'll love it.
I don't know. I think it's a bit of a risk. If it was me, I'd definitely ask her before I booked it.
Hey, you're just not romantic like me, are you?
And also, she might make other plans. Things that she can't, like, change, and then she might not be able to go.
Nah, trust me. It'll be fine.
Okay, I'm gonna send you once again to breakout rooms, a very quick moment for you to check your answers. In this case, the information is a little bit longer compared to the second exercise. When we come back, then we can see like the final summary of the story. You will be going to different breakout rooms compared to the first part. Remember, guys, the idea that you are going to help each other in order to build the answer of your questions, okay? Let's go to the breakout rooms starting now. Well, guys, welcome back. Let's see how our story finishes. Let's begin with question number 1. Who is Joe talking to? Remember that we're talking about now 1.6. Maria.
Yeah, he's talking to Ben.
Very good. We finally listened to him. He's talking to Ben. Very good. Let me change here. Maria was in group number 2. Let's have a look at question number 2. What is the surprise that he, well, in this case, that he know, that is mentioned? Well, actually, Ben is talking about a surprise. Right, Karen? What is he talking about?
About the surprise. Teacher,
Yes.
the number 2.
Yes, question 2.
Ben think go with Mass to a Greek island for the vacations.
They're basically for vacations. Very good. That's the surprise that he has in mind. Let's have a look at number 3. What does Joe try to do in the conversation and why? Manuel.
The second question, teacher.
3.
3.
The third one.
He tries to make him talk to Mace about the travel, so Ben don't keep it as a surprise because he knows she wants to finish Ben.
Like to finish the relationship.
Right.
Absolutely. And what about question 4? It is, how does the other person respond? In this case, talking about Ben, Jessica.
And Ben say Joe, he are no romantic like he.
He is not romantic like him. Yes. Very good. Yeah, that is one part that he says that. For Ben, Joe is not as romantic as he is, right? Anything else that we could add to the answer that Jessica already gave on question 4? Jorge. Let's see the chat. Jorge says nothing else to add. Very good. He won't listen to those suggestions. Okay, let's sum up the story before we go to refresh the grammatical component of tonight. This will be the summary, collecting like all the information that we have just listened during the 3 different conversations that we were analyzing little by little. Marlon, could you read this summary, please?
Yes, teacher. The blueprints are some sincere and well-meaning. Mass is genuinely concerned about the future of her relationships with Ben. Anna is supportive of Max and Ben. However, in spite of her promises, Hannah cannot resist gossiping to Joe. Gossiping to Joe. Gossiping to Joe. When Joe hears about Ben's plan to take Max on holidays, he tries to protect him from the big letdown that he can see coming.
That's it, Marlon. Thank you very much. So once again, it was a kind of long exercise. Notice that it was divided into 3 different parts. We had to answer different questions. My intention was to keep it like collaboratively in 2 parts, but anyway, 1 part individually. I know that in some moments the information that is being presented is more difficult to get compared to the others. I know that some of you get the answers like this, all of them. Some of you struggle a little bit, but you know, that's part of the process. And the only way to get better is to continue practicing. Eventually, you will get more and more information. Very good. Well, guys, the topic that we're going to refresh, because as I told you yesterday, Unit 1 is about refreshing our memory of those, let's say, key concepts that we already know about English. Is talking about auxiliary verbs, okay? Auxiliary verbs are essential in English. Probably is one of the concepts that actually at the beginning can be a little bit, I wouldn't say complicated, but let's say new, because in our first language, in Spanish, we don't really have auxiliaries. It's normal that we try to translate at the beginning of our learning process. Everybody goes through that process. And one of the first things that we can translate is auxiliary verbs, because in English, they work completely different. And once again, because in Spanish, they don't really exist. You already know from what we studied yesterday, those keywords that make the auxiliary verbs. We're going to focus more on when to use them. That is the idea we're going to refresh tonight. First of all, talking about emphasizing ideas. Look at these statements that we have and the words in bold on each of those statements. I do hate it when my neighbor plays his music so loud, or I'm sure I did lock the door. One of the most common rules in English is auxiliary verbs are used only in negatives and questions. That is the general rule, and of course it is correct. But in some cases, we can use them when the statements are affirmative to give emphasis. As I told you, we can't expect a literal or a perfect, a literal translation from English into Spanish. For example, if I say the first one, I do hate it, hasta acá, what do I mean? Or what would be, let's use Spanish a little bit so we can see that we can't.
Yo odio, yo lo odio.
Yo sí odio. Entonces, ese sí is the emphasis that we can use here in English. Or in this case, I'm sure I did lock the door. Yo sí tranqué la puerta. Usually, we try to find that sí that we use in Spanish, that yo sí hice la tarea, yo sí puse atención. But in English, we don't really have that yes, or in some cases we use if. But, at this point, that if is only when we're talking about conditionals. And of course, yes doesn't work in the grammatical structure that we have in here. So in English, what is that version? Using the auxiliary depending on the tense. I use do in the case of present and did in the case of past. So that is the intention of using the auxiliaries in the affirmative statement. Of course, notice what happens in the in the past simple statement. If I use the auxiliary, I don't transform the verb, right? Because the auxiliary is already doing that homework. So first, use of the auxiliaries, talking about giving emphasis. And once again, notice that the translation into Spanish is not the same. We know that do no significa sí, esto no es sí. It's because of the meaning, the general idea of the sentence. When I give emphasis in Spanish, we do that statement. Yo sí presenté el examen. Just like an example. Of course, the most typical probably rule that we know that is already, let's say, nestled in our brains, talking about the use of auxiliaries in questions, right? That would be like the very general idea. Now, there are some cases when we can create short questions using the auxiliary verb, in this case with the intention of showing interest. Now, once again, we can't expect a literal translation. Probably would be something similar way to say really. Look at this example. It says, I've got 6 grandchildren. Notice the answer, like, have you? How lovely. If we make like the translation, or if we're trying to find that statement that matches the idea, we know that it doesn't mean like usted tiene. It is more similar to like really. Showing interest, which is basically the intention, and somehow showing that you actually care the information that you are listening to. Look at this example. In this case, it says, we didn't like the film at all. Really? Didn't you? Why not? Once again, this didn't you is emphasizing, like somehow you want to know the reason. There is not literal translation in this case. I'm just like wondering or adding extra information or extra emphasis. Like we would say it's a repetition of the really, you know, making sure that the other person knows that I am paying attention, that I am interested in the conversation. Now, what would be the idea? We have to respect the original tense. The first tense is present perfect, right? So notice that the question is in present perfect. Look at the second question. It was in past simple. That means that the question was in past simple, you know, making that coherence on tenses. If I say I've got and the person says did you, doesn't make any sense because once again, the information that I shared was in present perfect. So we gotta be really careful that when we make this type of questions, once again, to show interest, I have to respect the original tense. Okay, so in conclusion, these questions, short questions, are usually used to show interest, basically that we are paying attention to the conversation. Questions, guys?
No, teacher.
Okay. First, so we give emphasis, sorry. Then to show interest, keeping the alignment with the tense and the person. Let's talk about question tags, probably one of the most common questions that we have in English. Remember that the idea of the question tags, once again, is to make sure that the other person is paying attention. Basically, that is one of the things to keep in mind. There is a very interesting rule that you remember about question tags, is that if the statement is affirmative, the question tag is negative. And vice versa. If the statement is affirmative, the question tag, well, first, sorry, if the statement is negative, the question tag is affirmative. Once again, I just want to confirm the information. It says, you've remembered your keys, haven't you? In this case, would be like a really? It isn't a very nice day, is it? We have to keep in mind, again, the original tense, this is present perfect. The tag question is in present perfect. The original statement, the second statement is in verb, using verb to be present simple. Anyway, the statement is verb to be present simple. So we have to be very careful in terms of the tense, pretty similar to the previous one, but in this case, it's the same person. In this case, was the different person, like I am saying something and the other person is asking me the question. Here I am actually saying the same statement and then finishing with the question. And once again, remember that the idea of the question tag is more like asking you like, right? That is basically the intention in this case. And you remember the difference, affirmative, negative, negative, affirmative. And probably one of the most interesting uses is when we want to avoid repeating information. English tends to be less redundant compared to Spanish. And of course, when we're using the auxiliaries to avoid repetition, we need context. Look at the statement. It says, I enjoyed the film very much. Enjoy, in past. That means that that is the first aspect that I have to keep in mind, using past simple. But most of my friends didn't. I don't have to say, most of my friends didn't enjoy the film very much. We didn't, and of course, thanks to this previous context, it is pretty clear that I know that the other people know that I'm talking about this verb and this event in particular. We always have to keep in mind that's the intention, respecting the original tense. This is negative, the auxiliary is negative. In some cases, we can use it in an affirmative form. Notice, The other students in the class don't understand Italian, but Alexandra does. The original sentence is present simple. Notice that we are talking about don't understand. It is basically present with but. That means that it is a contrast. So I'm expecting an affirmative idea. In this case, using the auxiliary does because it is third person, you know? So to avoid repeating once again all the information, we don't have to say, but Alexandra understands Italian. When we want to avoid repetition, once again, is because we want to make sure that the context is present. Have you done your homework yet? Yes, actually I have. The original sentence was in present perfect, so the auxiliary in the answer is in present perfect. It is not incorrect to say the whole sentence. You can say, yes, I actually have done my homework. And if you want to do it, it is perfectly fine. But keep in mind, guys, that the intention at the end of the day would be to reduce repeating and repeating the information. That is basically the idea on this part. Okay, guys, questions?
No, so far.
Okay, very good. Well, guys, before we go, I'm gonna set a homework for you. I know that you are always busy. Let me refresh my page in here. Okay, you will let me know if the link works in a moment because I had to change. It's very short. You will notice that it's a very short thing. It's an exercise or a type of exercise that we have done a lot before. The idea basically that you have to read the statement and you have to choose the type of auxiliary, okay? Notice that at the end of the day, although we were talking about different rules, there are aspects that we always need to respect. That is, the tense of the question should respect the same tense in the answer. So there is alignment. Basically, we see that the difference in tenses, well, there is no real difference in tense. I want to do this first one, just an example. Am I sharing this screen? Yes. It says, he's booked the flights. He, and then says, yes, I think so. So notice that is the same statement. We are talking about present perfect is the same line. So that means that we are talking about a tag question, okay? That's it. So when you choose the word that actually completes the statement, you click on submit answers and then you move to the next one. So basically that is going to be the idea in all the sentences, okay? Read the statement and decide which is the auxiliary that actually matches what it is being requested on each sentence. So I'm gonna give you the link from here. I guess it's better. The deadline is going to be until Monday, okay? Because, well, today is Friday and we are about to finish our session. I'm not expecting you to do this now or tomorrow, not even on Sunday. Would be Monday, 6 p.m. So when we begin our session, what we're going to do is to check this mini homework. You already noticed that they were only 10 sentences, and it's a good way to review how much we remember about auxiliary verbs, okay? Guys, did you have any questions about the homework?
No, teacher.
Okay, don't forget, guys, only 10 statements. As usual, guys, thank you very much. Don't forget to continue working on the virtual campus. Yes.
Means the link that you share is a Mentimeter.
I shared a Mentimeter link?
Yes.
That's embarrassing.
The last activity is the link of the last activity.
Ah, okay. Yes, you are absolutely right. Oopsie. Check this one. Eliminar. Eliminar. What about the one that I shared?
Yes, Miss.
That's the one. Thank you. Mistakes. Well, guys, thank you very much as usual and see you on Monday. Don't forget the mini homework.
See
Good
you.
weekend. Bye.
Happy weekend, everyone.